Hello and welcome everyone to the official virtual closing ceremony for the 2024 BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute. My name is Alexandra Maloney. I am the president of Black Professionals in International Affairs, as well as the founder of the Colin Powell Leadership Institute. So we are very excited to join together to celebrate all that we have experienced and accomplished together as a cohort. So today's program will begin with what I call the story of us. So we'll reflect on the experiences that we have had. We'll be hearing a few testimonials from some of our cohort members. We will then move into the introduction of our keynote speakers, Alex T. Johnson and Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas. And from there, we'll just open the floor for reflections from the cohort for anyone who would like to share any specific experience or aha moments or learning moments that they have had. And we will also be sharing next steps and how to get plugged in with the Powell Institute Alumni Network as well. So again, I'd like to issue an official congratulations to our cohort. We did it. We have made it to the end of our year. It has been such an honor and a privilege to learn and connect with so many of you. We have so many professionals and mid-career professionals who are passionate about enhancing and moving in their leadership journey. And when I think about the story of us, and by us, I mean us as a cohort, is I think about the journey where although we may have different starting points on that journey, that we all are moving with a level of intention and interest in wanting to be leaders in our community, whether that's our industry areas, whether that is in our literal communities or the like. And so to see and hear and learn of the growth that we have all experienced together, as well as the network, the encouragement to be able to have where we can contact and call others who are participating in this program to know that we have others who are on a similar journey and on a similar path, wanting to elevate our leadership skills. This year, we experienced a number of highs and what I consider to be lows as well. We lost two members of our cohort, Otis James Holloway and Victoria Alicia Durgana Latorte. So I'd like us to take a moment of silence in honor of their passing. Thank you very much. Both Otis and Victoria were active in the BPIA community, who were involved in mentorship and connecting with members of our community. And so it is a heavy loss that we have felt in our community. But I want to thank you to those who are in the cohort and the wider BPIA community who have, extended arms of support with each other during this time. So as we look and continue to reflect on the experience of this institute, on the story of us, I look here and I see all the beautiful faces of our cohort members who have participated in a number of different elements of the program that have enhanced our leadership skills. One ranging from the saloon dinners, where we are talking and learning about topics relevant to today's time and preparing us for what we need to know, not only for now, but as in moving into the future of our field and of our industry. How do we prepare for what is to come, not only for what's happening today? So having dinner and events with our guest speakers ranging from ambassadors, including Ambassador Harry K. Thomas, Ambassador Alonzo, and others, as well as our Elevate Leadership boot camps and the Leadership Forward series, which was hosted by our professional development lead, the Vice President Michelle Washington. But many Powell cohort members were able to utilize and leverage those series that exposed us to the Senior Executive Service. To earlier today, we had a Leadership Forward with the Deputy Director of the Peace Corps. We also have had the policy briefings with the White House, with the State Department, with CFR, media trainings as well, that brought experts to come and train and teach us. How do we prepare for crisis communication? How do we prepare our executive brands? We had an op-ed session with the Washington Post editor-in-chief. This year, we also had the virtual program Cultivating Diverse Talent in partnership with INSA and the team at Bishop Garrison. So shout out to the INSA community. And then lastly, providing a safe space and a safe community for learning and connection. That includes our senior mentorship matching, our monthly PAL cohort check-in calls, which have been very helpful for me at least, where we discuss what were some of the things that we learned that month, as well as just a check-in time, like just a check-in on members of our community of, this is what's happening in the national news, or this is something that is happening in our agencies. Do others have insights or thoughts on that particular, case scenario? And then we also have stayed connected, very active in our community chats and our WhatsApp chats and the listserv, and we'll continue to stay connected through the Powell Institute Alumni Network. So thank you for flagging. I do see that we have one of our cohort members, Hermes Grouillon, who is on, who will be giving a brief word of acknowledgement for our cohort members who did pass away today. So Hermes, please feel free to join on the floor.
Yes, thank you for gathering us, and just didn't want to skip over that moment. So sorry for raising my hand at that point, but both Otis and Victoria are very special. In fact, Victoria's birthday is tomorrow, November 5th, of all days, an important day for our country. But both of them really, they didn't wait to be leaders. They didn't wait to make a difference. They didn't wait to reach back. They consistently challenged me to be even a better leader, to put others up. They were deeply committed in making a difference. They didn't wait and look around to see who else could do something. They got up and did it themselves and brought others along with them. So in that spirit, to carry their legacy, just think about, do not wait to make a difference and look around to see who else would do something. If you see a need, if you see someone who needs to be spoken, who needs an ear to listen to them, you can make a difference in your respective industries, please do not wait. Every day is a blessing, as we can see, and I just wish we can all continue to honor their legacy. So thank you so much. And just we were blessed to have them in our lives for the period that we did. And this is not the end.
Yes. Thank you so much, Hermes, for sharing that and all the support that you've been and leader that you've been in our community as well. So we will now move to two brief testimonials that we have before we move into our keynote remarks. So firstly, please join me in giving a virtual welcome to Mr. Michael Baum, who is a project manager and foreign policy analyst. Michael, over to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. This cohort has been excellent. I've really enjoyed speaking with everyone. It has not only I've not only gained insight in a number of ways from our different communicating with my peers around not only the DMV area, but nationally, internationally, but this has had me just given me the necessary skills to excel in many different capacities, especially as a project manager, supporting the U.S. Government in a number of different capacities. So from the skill building sessions to the salon dinners, the leadership speaker series, I think all of them were just spot on in many different areas, touched many different areas that people want, not only interest areas, but also, skill sets that you could apply the very next day. So this fellowship has improved my skill sets with, as myself as doing client management, team building, the leadership, ways to engage one's team, engage and push forward different strategies, and know how to network with people with not only developing friendships, but developing ways to grow your professional circles. So one thing that I do like to highlight is that there was a mixture of virtual and in-person events, which for myself as we all are working professionals that have schedules that could change at a moment's notice, that has been essential to the participation in different ways. If I couldn't go out and as much as I would want to be there in person, it would be virtual, and I could be able to connect to the group and talk and participate. And it has been a great experience to know that if I was pulled away and had to talk, work with people that had different schedules and such, I could still be there and still work with and not only talk with my the community in person, but then engage with people that may have also not been able be there just because they're not local, but because they're international. Some people are traveling, and it was amazing to get all of that experience through sharing my personal stories, hearing their personal stories, and knowing how the bouncing of ideas back and forth is growing us all professionally. So I really think that this cohort is, while it lasts about a year, I would say about 11 months. We all kind of jumped in on it in the January, February time period. I mean, this is not only just a year-long thing. This is a lifetime practice. This is a lifetime experience. The things that we learned here, we should be able to take all of these and put it in practice. Like I said, the next day, the day after, the week after, the month after. So we are learning through the insights of people that are not only our peers, but also people who have come before us. So, I certainly plan to take all of these and continue to give back, as much as I would love to be a cohort member next year and continue to learn and participate. I think the best way to give back is to give insights from my experiences and give them back to everyone who's going to participate next year.
Wonderful. Can we give Michael a round of applause? Thank you very much, Michael, for sharing your experience with the Institute. Next, I will welcome Ada Eziadu, who is a Senior Talent Acquisition Partner. If you would like to join me on the main stage and share your experience.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Ada. I really want, first of all, thank Open Society Foundation for sponsoring us and making sure that the Colin Powell Institute is something that finally we did. And yeah, we're the first cohort. So I wrote something down that I want to read from. And I also speak from my heart as well. So I'm deeply honored to share my experience as a participant in the BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute. This transformative program had been a pivotal milestone in my professional journey as a Black leader in the international development space. So from the moment I joined the fellowship, I was enveloped in an environment that was not only supportive, but also empowering. The leadership training and development that we had was designed and equipped us with invaluable skills that has elevated my confidence and effectiveness. And I also want to add that the salon dinners, because from my quote, you can see that I quoted Johnny Siwa's dad, because what he did share when we came for that salon dinner that evening really made me realize that we could either keep complaining or we get an education and put ourselves in positions to make change and make it really happen. And so the Leadership Salon Dinner series were particularly inspiring. It offered intimate settings where we had diverse perspectives through our discussions, and we engaged in very intense, sometimes uncomfortable conversations, but very intimate and enriching and informative, and also engaged with fellow professionals and distinguished leaders. They shared meaningful insights, and we were able to form connections that extended beyond the fellowship. I can say that I've made friends from the fellowship, and it's really mind-blowing to see how far we have come and how far we have gone. And so this kind of brought richness to the conversations. You know, you're looking forward to meet your friends at the next salon dinner. And then for the media training and policy briefings, you know, at White House and the think tanks, they were very eye-opening experiences for me. Being an immigrant and someone who was able to find herself in this position, I'm like, wow, okay, now I get more understanding into governance and policy making. And the opportunities that were presented helped me also hone my own communication skills as a talent expert in the industry, because we work with USAID as well. And then I also think that what really made this fellowship or Leadership Institute particularly interesting was the unwavering commitment to mentorship. Because for every leader that spoke to us, for every professional that came, there was always an emphasis to always reach out. You know, they were very open to serve as mentors if we were interested in, you know, having coffee chats and dinners and conversations with them. And then as a Black professional in this field, I'm proud to be part of the program that amplifies and promotes the voices of mid-career professionals. The BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute is not just a fellowship. It is a movement that inspires us to lead with purpose, integrity, and commitment to diversity. I'm immensely grateful for this opportunity and excited to apply all that I've learned and continue to learn as I continue in my journey in international development. Thank you, everyone who has been part of this. Thank you so much, Alexandra. And thank you so much, all the BPIA Colin Powell Institute leadership team. Thank you.
Muted, you would think 5 years through a pandemic, you would think I would know how to unmute. Okay. Thank you so much, Ada, for your remarks. It's been so exciting and filling to hear and meet from so many of our cohort members about how this experience has changed their lives and helped to make them a stronger leader. When I first conceptualized this institute, the syllabus started as my personal syllabus, right? Like all the things that we did, I had those planned out for me on my personal leadership syllabus. Having these private one-on-one dinners, intimate dinners to ask these challenging questions about leading in times of crisis or being the first or asking this. And I could have just done it all myself by myself, but we have to remember that we go farther together. You can go fast alone, but you go farther when you're together. And so again, I'm so thankful for all those who made this possible. We are so thankful to Open Society Foundation and Alex T. Johnson. I'm going to save my full remark for you after you give your keynote, but just to know that that these types of efforts they require a partnership and a trust in being able to deliver on the things that we're doing. And so just to remind us that we are able to do these things and we don't have to make excuses for the world as it is, right? We can build the world that we want to see it to be. We have to, but it starts with us preparing and equipping ourselves to be able to do it. So with that, I'm going to now pass the mic over to our cohort member, Edward Mutuma, who is going to begin with the introduction of our first keynote speaker. Ed, over to you.
Thank you, President Maloney. I hope you can all hear and see me.
Yes.
And thank you to my fellow cohort participants. That was a very nice introduction, Ada, and I'm just going to segue into the Open Society Foundations and introduce our first keynote speaker. So Alex T. Johnson is the Deputy Director of U.S. Foreign Policy at the Open Society Foundations. Prior to that, he served as the Chief of Staff to the U.S. Helsinki Commission and Senior Policy Advisor for Europe and Eurasia at the Europe Open Society Foundations. Johnson is a former Obama administration appointee at the Department of Defense, where he served as Special Advisor for Russia-Ukraine External Affairs in the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense. In this role, he coordinated public affairs, strategic communications, and congressional engagements, supporting the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia. Johnson served from 2007 to 2015 as a policy advisor at the U.S. Helsinki Commission, where he advised bicameral and bipartisan contributions to diplomacy. His service included almost 4 years as a representative of the Helsinki Commission at the United States Mission to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in Vienna, Austria. Prior to this, his service at the Helsinki Commission, he was a Congressional Black Caucus Fellow in Chairman Hastings' office and a consultant for local government initiatives in Portland, Oregon. Johnson received his BS in Natural Resources and MPP from Oregon State University. I'd like to welcome my fellow cohort members to welcome Mr. Johnson.
Woo!
That's a great welcome for a virtual conversation here. Really appreciate y'all and thinking of me to even join this conversation with such an esteemed group. I mean, the participants among this cohort are so accomplished, have done so much to serve, to give to our nation. And so I just wanted to talk through a few untold stories and tidbits that are relevant to this, the namesake of this institute, but also some interesting vignettes in terms of global engagement. I think we always have to start with the ancestors. We have to start with those who we have lost in terms of the champions who led this effort in Congress, who did so much to get us to all of the positions that we are in. Particularly, I'm thinking of in this last year, losing Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a tremendous champion of global engagement, but also looking further back to Representative Alcee Hastings, who Ed mentioned, who I worked with most of my career, Representative John Lewis, Representative Donald Payne, so many who have given so much for all of us and to advance what, as many of you who've been involved with the Congressional Black Caucus know, the true conscience of the Congress. I would say this cohort right here is the conscience of public service and global engagement. You all are leading into the future. You're going to be able to carry forward these professional experiences you've had in order to really shape and change the world. I know you've had a tragic year in terms of these personal losses among the cohort, but you all will embody their spirits moving forward. I'm confident of that. So I think this moment really demands global engagement, and you all are deeply entrenched as the practitioners and experts to give us the world that we all deserve. I think you all must focus on saying what must be said, reclaiming the agency of your respective responsibilities and roles, and showing up for each other in a way that is the best possible way now that you are all effectively networked. I think to think back to the namesake of the Institute, General Colin Powell and his leadership and what he demonstrated, two untold stories that you might find fascinating that linked Representative Alcee Hastings and when he was, of course, Secretary of State, General Powell. So in 2004 to 2006, Representative Hastings was the president of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. So leading parliaments from what are now 57 nations, engaging with each other in the Northern Hemisphere and working on comprehensive human security. Two really pivotal moments of that presidency were, one that we're hearing about, especially given the day tomorrow, is international election observers. As president in 2004, Mr. Hastings contacted Secretary Powell and convinced him and brought all of the documentation necessary to ensure that the United States reciprocated its political commitments on international election observers by inviting parliamentarians and other leaders to the United States to observe our elections throughout the United States. That has since been a practice continued since 2004, and that was really a negotiation and a direct request between Mr. Hastings and Secretary Powell. So he, when you think about the legacy of the institute that you're in, you're a part of a cohort that represents opening the United States to the world. And Secretary Powell actually did that in inviting those observers in. Then the second untold story is around accountability. And that is, of course, in 2005, Representative Hastings spent a lot of time on HPSCI, of course, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, and a lot of engagement on inclusion in the IC and other efforts. But one thing he had deep concerns about was Guantanamo Bay. And in 2005, as president, he established a special representative of that parliamentary assembly to essentially report and examine and engage, on a reflection of us as a nation on what decisions we had made and how we administered that. So one of the accomplishments of that was through a number of conversations between Representative Hastings and Secretary Powell, he was able to secure the first international delegation to visit Guantanamo. A number of experts and observers, international human rights leaders, and parliamentarians in March 2006 actually went to check on the conditions of the detainees and also take a look at accountability in terms of international law. So that was really a moment. And in those moments, they demonstrate challenges. And I think, of course, when we think about the legacy of Secretary Powell, General Powell, of public service, both in the military, but also in term as a civilian, you think of the resilience to stand back up, even if times are challenging, even if you've had to advance policies that you may not have agreed with, even if you've been in the room where tough decisions were made. And he reflected on that later in his career and the numerous times he spoke out on various issues. So I think it was really fitting when we had an opportunity at Open Society to partner to support this institute. So we're really grateful for that moment. So those stories really bring me back to you all, and that is the power and the human capital, the intellectual capital that you all have to be able to change the world. And I truly believe that. I'm excited to see what additional cohorts of leaders emerge as a part of this particular project, this institute. And I hope that you all remain engaged in terms of bringing other leaders in and building a collaborative community as BPIA has done, as, of course, Alexandria has done as president, and the many presidents before her have done. I want to, of course, thank you so much for considering me to just share a few stories here. But I, without further ado, I'd be really honored. I'm looking forward to hearing from the esteemed Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas. So we are among legends, and I see legends in the making here with us this evening. So thank you so much.
Right. And look, I'm just happy to be in the room. I'm happy to be in the room. Okay. If we can give Alex Johnson a round of applause. And before I bring Ed back up to introduce Ambassador Elam Thomas, I do want to make a quick comment to you, Alex. I want to say thank you, because when I tell you this institute, I stepped out on faith. We didn't know how we were going to do it, how we were going to bring it to life, what support we had from it. And you were the first person to answer that call. And we are here, and all the impact that we are working our best to even be able to measure. But given that this will be impacting people for years to come, that we can't even fully imagine what the full impact of this opportunity was for all those who are the 100 cohort members, Alex, because you stepped out on it. We wouldn't have been able to do this program if we didn't have leaders like you. And for those who are in the room who don't know this man, He is the OG. He is moving behind the scenes of Washington, D.C., okay, getting things done and movements. They're going to write a book about this man one day, and I'm going to be able to say, yes, I knew him. I knew him back in the day. And I just want to say thank you for trusting in the vision. Thank you for your leadership and all that you have done to ensure an inclusive foreign affairs community, to hold our leaders accountable, to hold our communities and our institutions accountable. It takes equipped people and leaders to do that. And no matter what happens next year, next week, next month, tomorrow, we know that as a community, we will be prepared and moving forward together to ensure our continuation of our leadership and of our what's important to us and to our community, as well as the U.S. and global community. So Alex, again, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you have done and the support and the mentorship that you helped to guide me as a leader in this space to know what is possible. Awesome. Okay, one more round of applause for Alex Johnson. Thank you so much. All right, and I am going to pass it back over now to Ed, who will introduce our second keynote speaker, Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas. Ed, over to you.
Harriet L. Elam Thomas was sworn in as U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Senegal on November 23, 1999, and was approved as Chief of Mission to Guinea-Bissau on 19 June 2001. Ambassador Elam Thomas is a senior Foreign Service officer with the rank of Career Minister. Following a 4-year assignment as cultural attaché at the American Embassy in Athens, she returned to Washington as Country Affairs Officer for Greece, Turkey, and Cyprus. Earlier U.S. assignments have included the U.S. mission to the United Nations, the President's Appointments Office at the White House, and Career Counselor for Foreign Service Personnel. Other posts abroad have included France, Senegal, Mali, and the Ivory Coast. In July 1994, she completed a 4-year tour as Director of the American Press and Cultural Center at the American Consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. She participated in the Department of State's 37th Senior Seminar, the premier global affairs leadership program in the United States government. In September 1995, Ms. Elam Thomas began a 4-year tour as Counselor for Public Affairs at the American Embassy in Brussels, Belgium. In September 1997, she was called back to Washington to become the Counselor of USIA, the most senior Foreign Service position in the U.S. Information Agency, and on February 1st, 1991, she gained the additional duties of Acting Deputy Director of USIA. USIA became part of the Department of State on October 1st, 1999. At the end of her Athens tour, she received the U.S. government's Superior Honor Award for improving U.S.-Greek cultural relations and a similar award from the Piraeus Cultural Association in Greece. In June 1988, Simmons College presented her the Alumni Achievement Award. On June 5th, 1991, she received USIA's Lois Roth Award for Excellence in Informational and Cultural Diplomacy. She has been a recipient of a Group Superior and Meritorious Honor Award for her work in connection with the Persian Gulf War, a Special Achievement Award for President Bush's 1991 visit to Turkey, and Secretary Christopher's 1993 and June 1994 visits to Turkey. In February 1993, the Turkish Prime Minister, Süleyman Demirel, presented her with an award from the Turkish Educational and Cultural Foundation for improving U.S.-Turkish cultural relations. On May 21, 2000, she was awarded an honorary doctorate of public service from the Simmons College in Boston, Massachusetts. She received an honorary doctorate of laws from Richmond, the American International University in London, on May 10, 2001. Born in Boston, Massachusetts, Ms. Elam Thomas holds a BS in International Business from Simmons College and an MA in Public Diplomacy from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy from Tufts University. She speaks Turkish, Greek, and French. And I'd like to my cohort to introduce Ambassador Elam Thomas.
Woo! Woo, 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 woo.
I'm going to have to give you a shorter version of that. Thank you very, very much. And the shorter version was done by none other than the former ambassador to Senegal, now deceased, Walter Carrington, when I went up to Simmons to speak. And it's absolutely hilarious, and you won't have to sit through all of that. But thank you for making me really feel old. Let me just say congratulations to the entire BPIA executive team. Yes, we start with you, Alexandria. And then I would like to say thank you to Asia, as well as Kyle Balfour. I'm sure there are many others, and if we start naming names, we will be here all evening. But there are times when it's important to speak the name of those who give so much of their time and effort. And they do it graciously. Let me just say that it is truly significant to be here on this momentous eve of, let's hope, will be what brings us an historic American event. Secretary Powell, I'm sure, would have been extremely proud that we've reached the point where we can actually consider electing the very first female leader of the most powerful country in the free world. In fact, he's up there smiling down on us with great pride on this land. Your salon dinners, speaker events, and leadership boot camps, one of which I attended, and I had to leave a little early because an announcement was made that day about certain people stepping down and others stepping up. And I can tell you what I listened to during that time. I just wished I had been around to be able to take part in what you all have just done. The boot camp, combined with the existing gifts you already have, all of you in this room, the speakers themselves, to me, was a roster of who's who in international affairs. And I'm happy to say I knew 2 or 3 of them. These dedicated professionals shared with you their rich expertise in unique fields that seldom was considered within the purview of people of color. Fortunately, our society has developed to the point that my generation can celebrate the magnificent opportunities which you're now able to have within your experiences. During my time, they were only pipe dreams. I'm also, though, very well aware of the challenges that many of you have faced to reach your current levels of responsibility. So I say kudos to you and to the leadership again of BPIA. And I'm going to take a moment to say hello to 4 of your cohort members: Hermes Guillon, Norma Toussaint, Alexandria yourself, Amanda Zayden, and Gabrielle Gay, all of whom I had the opportunity to meet through ICAF. And if you thought ICAF was something, now you've got a full plate of things, namely a year as the Colin Powell Fellows and that first experience at the Aspen Institute. When I think of the challenges of today's leadership, you all are closer to age to those who are going to take the fort as you move on, and you have greater credibility than someone of my generation. And I can tell you the challenges that you face are far beyond anything I could have imagined during some of the most difficult leadership experiences I had. One of which was making assumptions about cultures and inviting a driver to be in a meeting when I was preparing for a speaker, and they let me know that my staff in Côte d'Ivoire, that they don't sit in a meeting with the drivers. That was not the only mistake. There were a few others, but I must say that the staff who were locally engaged, they were FSNs during my day, they quickly let me know when I made a mistake, and I worked diligently not to repeat such errors. Occasionally, we will learn also that there are positive actions that are taken by our fellow citizens. And usually they show up on the Friday or Saturday evening good night, good days, good evening stories, or special good feel good stories. That's what it is for the listeners, and how I wish we could see that more often. But reality is seldom in neat theories, and my students reminded me of that all the time, because our life involves complex human relationships, and there is indeed joy in those relationships. In the past few weeks, America has come to know someone who really reminds us of the value of that joy. Without knowledge of your own values, however, you can't really recognize the dignity nor the harmony of humankind. With smartphones and instantaneous communications, it is challenging to be a commander and control leader. All it takes is just one little mistake, and the world knows about it before you have time to retract. So how do you counter this inevitability? You become proactive and prepared to think strategically. You also maintain a degree of openness and humility. I'm going to say humility 2 or 3 times. Try not to overreact. We've seen too much of that recently. And remember the key elements of crisis communications and strategic management sessions you've already had. You have enhanced your abilities to cope with ever-evolving and at times simultaneously domestic and international crises. This means you've got to be flexible and become lifelong learners. Leaders are often inspired as they confront new challenges, but problems cannot be solved or fixed if we do not recognize them. As Americans, we must be cognizant of our place on the global stage. As unique members of this diverse nation, we have an innate ability to adapt, thrive, and excel. Whatever we do, we must always consider the importance of how the policies we propose will spark, protect, progress, and be prosperous to everyone, not just the privileged. So you must listen with intent, listen with empathy, and listen to the opposing views. In every aspect of your persona, you must exhibit integrity, and I heard that this evening already, vision, and the willingness to bring others along. And Alex just mentioned that as well. You've heard many wise practitioners during this abundant year as fellows, so that you really don't need very much more from me. So let me close with a reference to one of your speakers, Laura Lautenschlager, the author of My Time with Colin Powell. This woman worked with him, I understand, for 25 years, traveled with him everywhere. How I kind of envy her. She described the life of General Powell as fun, self-deprecating, practical, generous, gracious, and kind. And before I knew of the content of her book, I planned to leave you with 3 tenets which highlighted and guided me through more than my 6 decades involvement in the international affairs arena. The term kind features prominent. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in leadership creates respect and success. So my heartfelt congratulations to each of you on having completed an extraordinary year of professional advancement. I say to you, félicitations, Sinhariteria Tebriclair. All the best as you move forward and lift as you climb. Merci.
If you can please join me in giving Ambassador Elam Thomas a round of applause. a round of applause. It is always such a treat that we are able to speak with you and hear your wisdom and your support and the reminders of the key word that you said was kindness. That we can focus and learn all of these things, but if we don't remember to stay kind and compassionate and graceful in these things, it's like, does any of it even matter? So I thank you, because that's one of the life lessons and the learning lessons that I've received from you as a mentor. And I think that that has also been received from those who have had the wonderful opportunity to be able to experience you, Ambassador. Thank you for sharing your time and your evening with us. It means the world that you join us to be here and to know that we have leaders who look like us, who remind us that we too can be great, and that we can also charter new paths and go all the way too. So with that, thank you so much, Ambassador. If we can all give another virtual round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very welcome.
All right, folks. So I will now move back to sharing my screen, and before we open into present, let me stop sharing one more time. So before we open into the open floor remarks from those and reflections for those who would like to share. So please, prepare yourself. No pressure to be on camera. We like to try to see folks' faces, but I know it's been a long work day for some of us. And I know that we have to, the presence is a gift in itself. I don't know why my screen is not allowing me to do the large screen share. So for the purposes of this time, I'm just going to share my screen here in this format and zoom in as much as I can. But what's next? So before this will be the final kind of closing thought before we move into our reflections from the cohort. But we encourage, my call to action to each of you, there are 3. So 1, sharing your story, sharing your memories, if you're able to or willing to, sharing on social media a photo of your favorite memory from the cohort and sharing why that was inspiring or what you learned from that experience. And when you do share it, encourage people to apply for the 2025 cohort. So the application is live today. It is found on our website. Just like last year, you do have to be an active BPI dues paying member. So all that information is found on the Powell Institute webpage on our public facing website. So please feel free to encourage and tell those who are in your network to consider joining and share your experience with them. Our hope is that, one day this institute will have thousands of alumni who we can lean in and tap into, who are aligned with the work and the mission of our organization and creating inclusive leaders and capable leaders. So please do share that across your network. And then lastly, joining the planning committee. So we invite all of our Powell Institute alumni network to join the planning committee in order for this institute to continue and to remain organic and authentic. We want the alumni from the organization to be a part of future institutes and cohorts. So that can range from helping with supporting some of the event elements, some of the speaker elements, some of the topics, what's important, what do we need to know as leaders. All the programs will always be open to alumni as well. So this does not stop here today. We continue to learn and build and grow this coalition together, but we need each of you. I'm calling all 100 cohort members to give what capacity you can, whether it's 1 hour a week, whether it's 30 hours a week, whatever you can give, because those others have poured in so that we can have this to even exist here today, whether that's time, resources, and energy. And so we want to continue on that legacy of giving back with our organization. We will be having the planning meetings every Tuesday at 7 p.m. All of you should have received the calendar invite for that. And if you have any questions, you can email powellinstitute@iabpia.org. It's not the expectation to join the meeting every week, but when you're able to tap in or want to learn or know more, get a pulse on what's happening, we will be having those meetings. And so the first one is starting next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday at 7 p.m. via Zoom. So we look forward to staying connected, staying involved and engaged. Like I love to say, this is only the beginning. This is what we are able to do given our current set of resources, our current time and capability. People still can't believe that we as an organization and a community are able to push and do all that we do and still have full-time jobs. But that just goes to show the impact of the work that we are here and doing and the lives that we are, the literal lives that we're changing in preparation for our futures and preparing us as a community. So with that, I'll close out with my remarks and just again say thank you to the full BPIA leadership team, the board of directors who saw the vision, who supported us in pursuing this institute, to the institute team and the events team of BPIA who helped to make this possible. Jordan, Lisa, Nadia, Watsia, Kyle Belfar, all these individuals who helped to make this possible. Thank you to each of you. And I want to remind us and keep us encouraged that, again, no matter what happens tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that we have a community of those together and the broader community in this nation who have come out and shown that they are committed to progress of our nation, of our industries, and of our communities, as well as our institutions. So I just want to encourage that and remind us of that we have a community here and to stay connected to. So with that, I'll just go ahead and open the floor for the last 10 minutes that we have scheduled for our closing ceremony call. Again, can we give one more round of applause to our dynamic keynote speakers, Alex T. Johnson and Ambassador Harriet Elam Thomas, who have come and poured and shared so much wisdom with us. Thank you both for your service in ensuring progress continues to happen. You all continue to give back to communities and leaders and the next generation. Both of you give that time. And I want to thank you both for your commitment in this work and in this field. So with that, we will go ahead and just open the floor for the last 10 or so minutes. I saw Namsa, your hand was raised, I believe, a little bit earlier. And if there are others who would also like to share, I will ask if you can do the raise hand function because we have a lot of people on the line and I'm not really able to monitor the chat. I see a lot of positive feedback, a lot of kudos, and thank you to those who are in the chat as well. But if you are able to do the raise hand function, excuse me, if you're not able to raise the hand, if our events team can help me to keep an eye on the chat. Excuse me. So the first person I'll pass over to, I see a hand raised from Hadiza.
Yes, hi, President Maloney, and hello, guests and VIPs. Ambassador Elam, it's such a pleasure to see you again, even though it's virtually. It is such an honor. And, one of the words that you said that really struck me when I met you was this sense of humility and dignity, which when seated with somebody of your stature and accomplishments is so powerful. And so thank you so much. You're such a good representation of our abilities, our excellence, our potential, and the space that we need to occupy. It's such an honor to see you again. So I wanted to share that. And also I am hopefully going to be the top of the list for the Colin Powell Institute. And I'm putting that out there, Alexandra, to sort of pressure you to accept my application. But I want to say there is so much more impact that BPIA can have. You would be surprised at the number of institutions, people, embassies that don't quite know about the impact of BPIA. And I hope I did a little bit to change that at the British Embassy, but I am sure there are other embassies that, will benefit. It's not about just occupying a space, it's adding value where we show up. And I think that's what's missing in so many of these places. Many of the embassy staff are locally engaged. That's also another way to pull people in and give them the support not all of them have in their embassies, because not everywhere is an inclusive workspace. So I just want to encourage BPIA, all the members, everyone that I've met, my gratitude, my encouragement, and I'm really excited to see what we do in 2025.
Awesome. Thank you, Hadiza. Thanks. I want to check back in here if Namsa is on the line. I saw her name pop up with a hand raise. And I think she may have, the call may have dropped for her, but if there's any others who would like to share any reflections, we'll take, just a few more moments to hold space for those who would like to reflect on their experience in the Institute. If there's any, specific topics or things that really resonated with you, please feel free to share. Yes, Michael.
I'll share that it really impacted me about the camaraderie and the way that everyone engaged in numerous conversations on different subject matters, that either current events or past events. It was very good just to hear the collection of experiences and ideas floating around with everyone. So I think that was very impactful for me. And I hope that us as a cohort are able to continue to stay in contact, continue to, bounce ideas and talk about all sorts of current events and future paths forward from foreign policy to world events. So I look forward to keeping in touch with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thanks again. So we'll make time for maybe one more reflection if anyone has anything they'd like to share before we close out.
Hi, can I share? This is Carla.
Yes, please.
Thank you. No, I just like to share that I'm just very appreciative of the cohort. I think the variety of events that were offered, whether virtual, in person, sessions that just engage the wider community. I couldn't have asked for just a more fruitful experience. I think, I participated in some of the sessions like about, how to pitch an op-ed or conversations on Haiti. And I think there's just so many different ways to engage that are so fruitful overall. And I just appreciate the tenacity and the willingness of everyone to really keep this going. So I just encourage to just participate, pay it forward, and this has been really fruitful. So thank you to all that have made this happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carla. So we'll go ahead and close out there. I'll share one reflection. I won't disclose who the person was, but in a private conversation, someone shared with me, they said, Alexandria, thank you for this opportunity to engage in this cohort. I am a younger rising leader. This person is technically college age, but our selection committee saw this as like a high potential person to be able to even just be exposed to those who are in this cohort. And she said that, that she got some feedback from someone in her network who said, well, you're not a mid-career professional. How are you in that program? Or why are you participating in it? And I told this young lady, I said, if you weren't meant to be here, you wouldn't have been selected to be in this program. And I remind us of that moment because we are all on our journey in different places and different levels. And we live in a world and a life of abundance where there's enough resource we do the best that we can with the resource that we have to be able to provide and uplift others. And so I want to encourage us to remember that we don't live in a world of scarcity where only certain people should be able to participate in certain things or have access to certain things. And that really encouraged me, and really it put a flame in me to be intentional with ensuring that everyone feels included no matter where they are on their journey, no matter what skill sets they bring, no matter what leadership they are on, because all true leaders know that they have more learning to do. Learning is a lifelong, leadership learning is a lifelong process. And so I thank you all and the cohort and the full team for trusting me to deliver and create a safe and inclusive environment for us to be able to learn and ask these hard questions. I've been able to also learn and ask hard questions, ranging from, and especially during the the monthly check-ins, where we can have, off the record kind of candid conversation, and as it pertains to our community of Black professionals, are we open to hearing and learning from others of other backgrounds and other interest areas and other expertise? And so as we're thinking about the expansiveness of this work, this organization, this institution that BPIA is, I thank you all too, because we've been feeling the growth as an organization and as a community. And that wouldn't be possible without the support, the leadership, the guidance from all levels of participation to be able to bring us to where we are today. And not only where we are today, but where we're going in the future, because we see that the need of this type of work and these type of programs will continue to be needed. The progress will continue to need leaders who are culturally competent and capable and have these competencies to be able to lead diverse groups and diverse environments. And that is not a skill that we're born with. That's a skill that we have to learn. And so, and some of us have it kind of natural, but true leaders, they know that we can sharpen that within ourselves. So with that, we will go ahead and close tonight's virtual program, closing ceremony for the 2024 BPIA Colin Powell Leadership Institute. It's been an honor to learn alongside each of you and to be able to convene and gather us in such a productive and exciting way. I look forward to what we build in 2025 and beyond. And I look forward to staying connected and expanding the work with each of you here. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude tonight's call. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Lovely.